Setting up a 5G mining rig is a big investment, so knowing how to accurately estimate your potential earnings will be key in deciding if it's something for you. In this video, we'll use the Bobcat calculation tool to take into account the Genesis rewards and learn how to make an educated estimate of how much you can make with this setup. If you're new to the channel, sit back and relax, and if you are short on time, just check out the timestamps in the description of this video and jump to the topic that is most interesting to you. For those of you unfamiliar with helium mining, I suggest taking a look at one of the many videos I made on this topic, as a lot of the principles are the same when it comes to 5G mining or IoT mining. In a nutshell, Helium offers a solution to create decentralized peer-to-peer mobile networks through financial rewards in the form of tokens. The first network they launched was based on LoRaWAN and has grown to almost 1 million devices. In this video, however, we're gonna talk about the new 5G mobile solution, which for now is only available in the US, as they have a free-to-use 5G frequency, unlike Europe, where you have to pay for every frequency in every country. Now that we know what helium mining is, it's time to take a closer look at the mobile token. So the mobile token will be the token that will be rewarded for mining the 5G helium network. As with most projects, you will be rewarded by jumping in early. Why? Well, the reason is very simple: because you are taking on more risk. We don't know what the value will be of the mobile token. We don't know how quickly the network will grow. So by being early and investing into the 5G hardware, you'll be taking on the most risk, and in return, you'll be getting more of the mobile tokens. At the time of recording this video, we are halfway through the 100-day Genesis event. During this first 100 days, miners are incentivized by additional token rewards in order to speed up the adoption and solve the quote-unquote chicken or the egg problem. So in essence, the mining dynamics are very simple. We start with a fixed amount of tokens that is being released each block, and that is then divided by all the miners that are actively contributing to the block. This means that if each block, for example, contains 1000 mobile tokens and we have 10 miners up and running, then on average each miner will get 100 tokens. However, for example, the next week after 100 people start mining rather than 10, then on average every miner will get 10 mobile tokens rather than 100. Of course, this is an oversimplification, as not all miners are created equal. The Helium protocol will always reward people who add the most value to the network, meaning that the more coverage your hotspot brings, the more coverage rewards you will get. And naturally, the more data you process, the more data rewards you will get as well. So it's really important that you set up a good hotspot or good gateway in order to get as many rewards as possible. Now, to learn more about the mechanism, I suggest that you take a look at the video that I made on the IoT network, because the system for the 5G network will work in a similar way. Now, if you want to really dive deeply into the mechanism, I suggest to take a look at the docs.helium.com website, where you find all the information you need about how to mine mobile and how the earnings work. Now that you have a basic understanding of the reward structure, let's see how we can make an estimate of the rewards when we would invest in an outdoor or an indoor miner. For this, we'll use the Bobcat rewards calculator. You'll find a link in the description of this video. As you can see, the dashboard clearly states how long the Genesis event will last, and a calculation of the average amount of mobile tokens that are currently being mined by miners that are live based on their type: indoor, outdoor, and high gain outdoor. As you can see, the outdoor setups usually make more than the indoor ones, and that shouldn't come as a surprise. It makes sense that a well-positioned outdoor gateway will provide better coverage and therefore mines more tokens than an indoor one. It also goes without saying that if you put your miner in an underground one-man bomb shelter, you will never be getting any rewards, because nobody will be able to receive your signal and you will not be able to get a signal out. So please keep in mind, it is very important as to where you put up your 5G setup. As you can see, this tool is a great way to track performance, as you can map out the daily rewards, which will decrease as more and more miners onboard. Because, as we said before, you'll be sharing the same rewards with more and more people. Now, good news, you don't have to keep track of all of this yourself. The people at Helium Geek, for example, they already made a little tool that offers you a very nice graph that shows you the amount of rewards that were being made in the past few days. And they plotted it very nicely in this little graph, so you can see the amount of rewards decreasing for both indoor miners and outdoor miners. And in case you were wondering what this little bump in the chart is, well, there was apparently a little bug in the system, and they were giving rewards to all the miners in the network and not just the miners that were live. So that was quickly changed, and therefore all the miners that were active started getting more rewards. Now, even if you want a more in-depth analysis, I suggest that you go to the official Helium Discord and then go to the 5G-CBRS channel and then look for a user called Keith R. This guy is very dedicated because on a daily basis, he makes an analysis of all the changes in the network. So as you can see, we see how many wallets that were added, how many new of the 5G hotspots went online and how many went offline and so forth. All right, back to the Helium calculation tool. We have discussed basically everything on this page except the price of the mobile token. As you can see, this little field is left open because you have to give an estimate yourself. You're probably wondering, why should you fill in a value yourself? Well, that is very simple. There is no open market yet. So there's no market price for mobile token, which means that you'll have to come up with something that is realistic. It also means that if you put in a high value like 0.1 for one mobile token, they will be getting some really excessive results. Like for example, if the price of a mobile token would be $0.1, so 10 cents, then this guy would be making $500,000 per day. It goes without saying that that is very unlikely. Thankfully, some smart people in the Helium community have had some very lengthy discussions and came up with several values based on the amount of AT&T in circulation, the mobile token cap, the average price per gigabyte that mobile operators charge, and so forth. If you feel the need to discuss the price of the mobile token yourself, I strongly suggest not to do it in the official Helium Discord because talking about price is not allowed. You can, however, go to, for example, the Crypto Traders Discord, and there you can talk about price as much as you want. I'll put a link in the description of this video if you're interested. Another way to get a more accurate price estimate is the OTC market, as people have already been making offers on the mobile tokens in a secondary market, so it's not an official open market, but people are already offering money for the mobile tokens through telegrams, like for example this one. And as we can see, you will see prices between 0.0015 and 0.003 US dollars for a mobile token. So if you use these values, I think you will get a realistic estimate because these are prices that are being paid right now. Again, if you're interested in this, you'll find links to 2 OTC groups in the description of this video. Going back to the calculator, using the values that we've seen in the OTC market, we're going to be moderately optimistic and we'll fill in a value of 0.002. Scrolling down, we see what this would mean for the people who are currently mining. And here we see the daily mobile earnings ranking. The top earner right now is Keen Quartz Performer, and with his setup, he would be making about 10K a day. If we then change it to 0.01, you can of course do the math. Then he would be making about 5K a day. It goes without saying that this guy probably doesn't have one setup, but he has multiple setups. Personally, I think it's also interesting to keep scrolling down, and then you'll quickly see that most of the people out there are earning a whole lot less than those top 10 guys. Now that we know what the potential earnings are, the question remains, is it worth the investment? As we can see on the Bobcat website, a full 5G setup requires a Helium-compatible gateway like the Bobcat Bobber 500. This is being used to communicate with the Helium network, but on top of that, we'll also need one or more CBRS Small Cell radios. It's also important to know that you can't just buy any small cell radio. It has to be a radio with the Freedom Fi license. One of the brands that produces one is called Mosa Labs. Long story short, all in all, we are talking about a whopping 2.5K minimum investment. For most of us, this is a lot of money and therefore it's a big risk. On top of that, you'll need access to a good location and preferably one that will have plenty of 5G users in the future. So what makes a good location? Well, the most obvious metric is the number of 5G users, but even though Helium will offer their own SIM cards, which you can use if you want a completely decentralized mobile operator, the chances of Helium 5G being big enough to offer proper coverage all across the US in the next 12 months is pretty slim. Now, because covering the entire US with 5G Helium hotspots is a big challenge, Helium decided to make an agreement with T-Mobile, and that means that if there is no Helium hotspot available, you'll be transferred to the T-Mobile network. It's of course a great addition for the user experience, but if you want to go completely decentralized, this might be a little downside. So if the initial amount of Helium 5G users is limited, what other potential use cases are there? Well, good news, because 5G requires a lot more radios to be set up compared to, for example, 4G, and therefore even the big mobile operators will struggle to give enough coverage in the entire country. And this is exactly where Helium can come in. Helium can help extend the network of big operators and solve these dead spots for them. It also means that big office buildings, parking garages, shopping malls, and so forth are potential partners to set up an indoor Helium 5G setup to provide better coverage for everyone inside. As we discussed, Helium has right now signed partnerships with T-Mobile, Dish, and GigSky, which I think confirms the use case for the Helium 5G network. Now, if you can't wait to jump into the 5G adventure until the end of the video, well, then I got some good news, because Bobcat can supply straight from stock. It means that they will be able to ship within 48 hours from their US warehouse, and you'll be able to start mining within a week. It also goes without saying that all the bundles have a little discount on them, and if you are interested in the 2 auto radio plus 1 Bobber 500 bundle, then again, I got some more good news, because specifically on this bundle, you'll be getting an additional 3% discount if you use the code MOBOBOutdoor2. I'll put the code in the description of this video as well, so you can just copy paste it. Now, and I hope you don't mind me saying it, but I have an affiliate link if you want to support the channel. I'll put the link in the description as well. So if you want to support the channel, just use my link. If you don't, then you can just go directly to the website and order from it there. Now, before you start pulling out your credit cards, I do want to emphasize it is very important that you have a good location. If you don't have a good location for your miner, I don't think it will be worth it in the future. Additionally, we have no guarantee when it comes to the price of the mobile token. Right now, there isn't even an official public price yet, because the token is not on the open market. It is also important to keep in mind that the rewards will go down. More miners on the network means less mobile tokens for each participant. So yes, your risk decreases if you jump in early, because you'll be mining more rewards, but the investment is big, at least 2.5k, and you don't know how many other people will join while you're waiting for your order. When I look at the early days of the IoT network, so with the previous mining setup, we know that things can turn very quickly, and the rewards will drop to more sustainable levels. So it's important that you keep that in mind. So just to give you an idea of what is realistic when it comes to returns when mining, we'll just take a look at mining Bitcoin, because that is something that people have been doing for such a long time, and that has definitely some price stability. So as you can see on the ASIC Miner Value website, if we use the Bitminer S19 Pro, at current prices, if we have 10 cents per kilowatt hour, we would be making $450 per year. And if we look at the pricing, the cheapest one that we can find is about $3,000. Very roughly calculated, that would mean that we would have to wait 6 years to have a return on investment. Of course, we all know that the current price of Bitcoin is very low, and we can assume that the price will go back up to 60k. If it does, then of course we can divide this price or this return on investment significantly, and we'll probably have a return within 2 years. So if you decide to jump into the Helium mining project in a later stage, I think if you want to play it safe, keep a return on investment of 2 years in the back of your mind, and I don't think you will be disappointed. Another thing you have to keep in mind is that just like the Antminer, the Bobcat or the Helium 5G setup are special purpose built. It means you can't use it for anything else. If you would, for example, mine Ethereum in the old proof of work setup, you could use a graphics card, for example, and you could still sell that graphics card to a gamer if you want to stop mining. If you're using a special purpose built machine, like the Helium 5G setup or like the Antminer S19 Pro, you will only be able to use it to mine that specific coin, and you will not be able to sell it afterwards. In the case of Helium, if the Helium project fails, you will be stuck with your hardware and it will be worthless. So that is also something that you have to keep in mind. Anyway, those are all the pitfalls that I can think of. So I hope with this information you can make an informed decision. If you're still excited about the Helium 5G mining and you want to have more information and you want me to make a video about how to set up your miner, or just to go into more detail on the hardware itself, please let me know by posting a comment. I also recommend you to take a look at the Bobcat app, as it's a great tool to help you manage your miners remotely. On top of that, it has some extra features in the app to help you do a speed test, so you can measure if your radio meets the quality of service level. Because if you don't, then you will probably be not selected to offload traffic for any of the big carriers, because they want to make sure that they are able to offer a certain service to the people who are using their 5G network. Either way, if you're ready to jump into this adventure, I would really appreciate it if you would use my affiliate link. You will find it in the description of this video. Alright, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.